Welcome to Keep Traveling Your African Story, the only podcast that shares the real voices and journeys shaping African tourism. I'm your host, 𝐸𝐬𝐸, and through my inbound tour operation, Keep Traveling, I've had the privilege of connecting travelers from all around the world with the magic of Africa. This podcast is my way of opening that world up to you, a place to learn about the people, properties, and opportunities that make travel across this continent so very special. Today, I'm delighted to introduce Rory Okoli, who's the founder and CEO of Trip Zap, who joins me to share her African story. Rory, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
I must be honest, when I first came across the name, I thought this has to be a guy's name. I've never heard a lady go by the name of Rory, but this is a first for me. Tell me, first of all, how did you get to the name Rory?
You ever watch the Gilmore Girl?
I'm not a soapy kind of guy.
Okay, so there's a female Rory on there, but essentially it's short for Rosemary, and I didn't want to be called Rose or Mary, and Rory.
You're Nigerian born and bred. Tell me a little bit about the Nigerian tourism industry.
So it's still in its early ages, but it has such huge potential. For us, even in 2017, 2018, we were having groups like Harvard, Yale coming in and going to explore. And we're taking them on all of these tours to see the Lagos Island, to see the slave ports, to see all kinds of things. We had all kinds of travelers. Really, we had this really popular guy from Japan come in, and he was trying to go into like the floating village. And then somebody else all the way from Asia trying to go to the groves in another Western state. So it does have a lot of potential. One of the things it's not doing very well of is having the right infrastructure and just the support for the local businesses or the local operators who want to do this. And also just the PR and the marketing around it. Because really and truly, there's nothing. But what you're finding in Nigeria, for instance, is that there is a period of a whole lot of inbound for Christmas. So from late November to about first week of January is really the season in Nigeria, and it's more the party season. But beyond the parties, I think that there's so much to see, so much to explore, all the way from the north to the south. In the north, you have the dry lands, you have very interesting landscape. In the south, you have the beaches, and there's like the whole stretch of beach. The Lagos State, the capital, is just sitting on a huge stretch of many kilometers of beach. It's a huge stretch that is bordered by the lagoon on one side and the beach on one side. So it's a nice strip. You have all these beach houses. So people would come, they would book all inclusive. You get breakfast, lunch, dinner. You had this nice wake up to the ocean. It was really beautiful, and you could go kayaking on the lake. These are all the things you don't really see in media, and we had done so much to put it on the map. But like I said, it doesn't get the support that it needs for individual businesses or individual people in the industry to reach just that level of international acclaim.
I think the biggest thing that people would look at if they were thinking about traveling to Nigeria is the safety. How safe is it? Or would you recommend people from the UK or people from America that they could go there and actually feel really safe within a big city like Lagos?
So yes, and also tread cautiously. As with any place, really, you don't see on the news like New York is so dangerous, don't go there. And like I said, it's bad PR because it's almost as dangerous as New York is, because New York is dangerous. You have to be cautious about whatever you're doing in a big city, and that's just what happens in big cities. There's insecurity, and I'm not going to lie about it. There is safety and security issues in the country, but it's not widespread. It's not every single place. You can't go anywhere. I was driving yesterday. I'm here in Lagos at the moment. I was driving at 12 midnight, almost 1 a.m. I'm driving on my own, and I don't need an escort. I don't need anything. And quite rightly, yes, you're talking about foreigners coming in, and people will try to take advantage of them. That's even the bigger thing, is you tell them the price is a different price, and you find that anywhere, really. But will they be safe? Of course, you wouldn't be walking on the street at midnight. I'm a local. I wouldn't want to be doing that. But can you drive around and get a driver to take you places? You're safe doing that. It's a different culture where we're not walking on the street. People do walk on the street, but they're not doing that in the middle of the night. Most places too, you're not trying to go in the middle of the night. So it's regular, like common sense kind of safety within Lagos. There's some real threats, but not within the big city like Lagos or within the capital city like Abuja. So you can come in, you can go where you want to go. You have someone pick you from the airport, take you to your hotel. This is a driving country, so you would get an Uber to wherever you wanted to go to. You would drive to wherever you wanted to go to. Like I said, the news that gets pushed out or carried out is always negative news, always makes it look super dangerous. I get that question a lot, by the way, so it's pretty standard. Oh, is it safe to go? And I think Africa in general is shrouded by, oh, is it safe? I wouldn't backpack, for instance. I would just take very trusted vehicles and cars or Ubers, things like that, to get from point A to point B.
So really what you're saying is that anybody that would want to travel to Nigeria and experience the local traditions and places to see would be better off by being privately guided.
Correct. You're better off and it's just easier for the stress of trying to figure things out because things change often in Lagos. If you don't know your way around, it's just easier for you to have someone trusted who's taking you places or have a local guide who's trusted as well. So yes, absolutely.
Let's put that aside now. Let's say that we do have a really good guide and we're staying in a nice place. What's to see in Nigeria? Because I'm completely naive when it comes to really good, nice hotspots. Is there any kind of wildlife areas that are still vibrant? Like you say, the coast is huge. Fishing, golfing, any kind of beach holidays. What are the nice places that people can go and visit?
I think I'll talk about it in different regions. I'll start first with our wildlife. So while there is some wildlife, this is not necessarily the place you would come to for wildlife. But if you look at the southern region, so southwest, you're on the coast. Basically with the coast, you have a lot of beaches. You have the beach houses, and that's the luxury level. So you can rent out a beach house villa. You can come for a day, depending on which one you're going to. There's some party beach clubs, but really the whole of the area is on the coast. But besides that, you have lovely museums. Here in Lagos, you have the Lake Conservation Center. So it's like a green area with one of the longest canopy walks, 7 bridges and 7 levels. But then once you start going inland, you have really interesting landscape and like vegetation. You have waterfalls, you have the 7-level waterfalls, you have the Osun Groves, which is a UNESCO heritage site that is protected and that is there. And so some of those you can actually see the traditional religion. You can experience some festivals around the old traditional Yoruba religions, which is actually a big thing that attracts a lot of people, especially from Brazil, because they have a similar that cross-pollination during the slave trade era. And so they do come back and they worship the same thing over there in Brazil. If you go east, inland, you have the 𝐸𝐤𝐿 caves, for instance. You have the pine forests. Up north, you have a lot of mountains. You have the northern religions and the northern festivals. So you start to see the Durbar festivals. You see like all the celebrations with the horses, and this is around like the Salah festival. And that's the interesting thing about Nigeria. It's multicultural, it's multi-religious. So there's so much going on and there's so much to plug into and experience, and it's so colorful, so beautiful. One of the new festivals that's been a big thing is the Ojodu festival, which is in the southwest, and it's so colorful, so rich in tradition, and everyone has all this regalia on. There's horses doing interesting things, so it's really fantastic and beautiful to see. As for physical things to see in the north, you have these mountains and these caves, and there are places to hike. So if you're in Abuja, you have the Gurara Waterfalls, and there's some places that people don't actually ever really get to just because it's really hard to get there. But if you push through and go ahead, it's really lovely. And then the landscapes are all these rolling, very green landscapes there in the Mambila Hills. In the south, you have the Calabar area. There's the Calabar Festival. Usually happens around end of December, and they've been prepping the whole year. So those are very beautiful. They look like actual carnival. The landscape is absolutely fantastic. It's so beautiful. And the hills change with the climate. One season it's all the clouds are in your face. Basically, you're in the clouds, and then another season it's all brown, and another season it's all green. So it's really a gorgeous thing to look at. So yes, there's a lot of beautiful things to do and to look at and to see. It's really gorgeous. Just even hiking the 7-level waterfalls, it's just really beautiful. And you just feel like you're in the Avatar movie and there are butterflies flying around. And it's really gorgeous, yeah.
I've learned more about the good things of Nigeria in the last 7 minutes than I have ever. Because like you say, the press just doesn't do it any justice. There's only bad news coming out of it. Do you think the government promotes the tourism sector at all? Because you always hear about Morocco, Kenya, Tanzania. They all at these shows and they're pushing and pushing. I've just never heard of Nigeria being there.
It's quite unfortunate, but I think that there might just be a lack of knowledge. in how to actually do destination management and destination promotion. It might just be a lack of knowledge of how these infrastructures are meant to be built and how these connections are meant to be made, or how to promote the country. Like you mentioned, at these roadshows or at these exhibitions, there's huge budgets for these countries to go out and represent in such fantastic ways. I don't know when we're going to take it very seriously, but I do think that there is two sides to that coin. If we promote all of this stuff, we still have fundamental issues in the country where if we're inviting all these people to come to the country, do we have what to hold them and to keep it safe? Because if it breaks once in a very bad way, it's really hard to recover from that. But there's so much more that needs to be done to actually get these types of information out there, even with content creators. And when we were doing this here as the action operators, we were the ones generating the content about it and the awareness. And you would find Nigerians be like, oh, where is that? With influencer marketing, for instance, you're actually paying people from out of the country to cross-pollinate that awareness. There's a lot to be done, yeah.
Listen, I think if the job for the Minister of Tourism is ever up, I think you should apply, Rory. For our listeners that are even contemplating that Nigeria could be a place to go, would you Trip Zap be able to offer a really, not just an itinerary, but I think you're only going to get people coming if you do a sort of handheld tour. People that are listening to this are thinking, geez, Rory, she really sounds cool. She really sounds confident. She's Nigerian. I want her to show me around Lagos. I want her to show me around Nigeria for a couple of weeks. Is that a possibility that you offer?
Absolutely. If someone is that eager, I'd be happy. And I think one of the things I really did enjoy when we first started years ago was just seeing everywhere through the eyes of someone who was seeing it for the first time. So every time I would take someone, I've seen it 1,000 times or whatever, it was just new because they're in awe and they're like, oh my God. It was very rewarding. Being in hospitality and just hosting people at the hotels and stuff, just seeing people's reactions, it's always so rewarding.
Exactly. There's so much more to it than just selling tours. Pretty much like you, I've taken a number of people on safaris or golfing getaways in Southern Africa, and just the look on their face when they see Lake Kariba for the first time or places like that, it really fills the soul, I think. Rory, coming to the end of our chat, tell me if there was something that happened that you would say to yourself, geez, only in Nigeria can this happen. What would that be?
Whoa, that is... Because I'm like scanning through experiences in my head, only in Nigeria.
Only in Nigeria.
In a good way or in a oh my gosh way?
Any way you like. It's something that's going to make people like really laugh, or it might be being pulled over by the cops on the side of the road. We know corruption in Africa is pretty high up there.
Yeah. Have you seen a horse on a canoe?
No.
Yeah, only in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't remember where I was, but it was like going from the mainland to the islands, and there was a horse and a canoe, and I was just like, what is going on? But obviously they were trying to get the horse, I guess, to the island, and that's the only way to get there is by boat. Yeah, that was funny. That's one I can think of.
That's fair. Let's just finish off by, and we touched on this point earlier, that some people in the first world are still a little bit nervous about traveling, not just Nigeria, but Africa as a whole. What would you say to those people that are thinking about coming to our beautiful continent to spend some time?
Just go. Really just go. It's just such a disconnect between what they think it is and what it actually is. I would say even just to start with TikTok, even just Instagram or TikTok or something, and just like type in Africa and start to see what is on there. There's a huge barrier to people actually taking that step to go. You could just be like tomorrow, you know what? I'm going to Egypt, I'm going to Kenya, I'm going to South Africa. People just go. Don't wait tomorrow. Just pick a place that you had in your head and go. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Listen, I'm born and bred African and lived in Africa for over 50 years. I'm currently in the UK. And believe you me, I feel safer walking around the streets of Victoria Falls than I do feel walking around London. Rory Okoli, thank you so much for your time and energy. I think you're going to be the future Minister of Tourism, Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your time.
Thank you so much, Raul. It was lovely. Thank you for having me. I had such a great time on this show.
What an uplifting conversation. Thank you so much, Rory, for sharing your story and for everything you're doing to grow African tourism. Don't forget, every week we feature fantastic prize giveaways from some of Africa's most beautiful lodges, camps, and travel partners. You could win your own unforgettable getaway just by listening, subscribing, or visiting www.keeptraveling.africa/podcast, or read more about today's guest by looking through the show notes. Don't forget to follow Keep Traveling on social media for the latest episodes, stories, and travel inspiration. I'm 𝐸𝐬𝐸, and this has been Keep Traveling, Your African Story. Remember, a few years from now, you won't remember how much it cost you, but you'll always remember the memories you made. Keep traveling.